Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you for being here. Sorry for being presenting with glasses. I had an issue on my eye, and I almost didn't come here, but I managed to come. I was already around, so when I had this issue. So today I'm presenting Boto, which is a project that we have been developing with InfoAmazonia. I'm Mathias. I'm here to represent our team that have been working on this project, which is this one. So Daisy, which was our project manager. She's like also working with communication with people from marginalized communities. So that's the reason she was also managing this project, because we want to speak not with all the audience, but particularly with these people that are having lack of access, lacking of information, access to information in Amazon. And then Paulo, who is our developer, and you can see me and Stefano, who are part of InfoAmazonia team. So why we decided to create Boto? So we have a problem that the Amazon forest is home of 47 million people in 9 countries, and more than half of them are only in Brazil, which is the dark green that you can see in the screen. So they don't have access to reliable information. And not only that, they have bad connection. They rely mostly on social media platforms to have access to information. And what we decide is really trying to create a product that was something that will take this information to them in the best way possible and where they are. So why Boto? So for who is not familiar, this pink river dolphin, it's called Boto in Portuguese. And it's like, if you realize, it has a connection with Boto. So it's a really nice name to call this bot, because reminds one of these endangered species in Amazon. And it's a beautiful animal, and it's in danger now. And the idea is that Boto navigates the rivers in Amazon in a very fast pace. And that's the idea, that our information navigates these communities as well. So how does it work? So we have like 4 main things that you can do with Boto. So as I said, it's a WhatsApp bot. So you're going to subscribe to receive tailored news. So you're going to say, I want to receive news about one specific state. Let's say, if you're not familiar with Brazil, you have the state of Amazonas, which is the biggest state in Amazon forest. So I want to receive news about Amazonas. And then I want to receive news also about one specific city, the city that's going to host the copy this year, which is Belém. So I can receive all these news stories that are published with that. And how we do that, because all the news stories published in InfoAmazonia website, they are geo-tagged. So we have another technology that we developed in the past that is called geo in English, which is J-E-O. And this is what we do, is like we put geolocation as part of how we are when we are publishing a story. And you can put like a primary location, secondary location. So if you're covering more than one in a story. And the other thing is, like, we also extract data from the stories using, if there is a mention, for example, let's say a specific city, as I mentioned, Belém, we can also locate the stories, like, because Boto is not Amazonia, but for all the local news outlets in the region that are interested in working with us in the same leading outlet. It's from say English, or one receive once a day, and or receive or the user or the audience has the decision how they want to receive. It's really of people receiving the content that matters most for them. And what I mean by that, so I'm interested in crime groups in the Amazon. So I can say, I want to receive everything about crime, for example, and then I receive all the news stories that are related to crime, violence. So I can use some keywords. And again, we use large language models to extract this. And beyond that, we had what we are calling rebunking. So we ask some certain terms and receive quick explanations. If you're not familiar, what is a specific term from Amazon, for example, Boto. What is Boto? The and like wonder what they even create. The other thing that I mentioned how we create this bot, quick spoiler, we create like really doing like focus groups with our audience, which use the value design. One thing that they mentioned that the news stories that are produced by why? Because it is like, I don't know, maybe 15 like I want to once a day, you're going to receive 3 or 4 headlines and you choose which one you want to have a summary. So you can do that. And also a new version that we are launching probably. We're going to have also the possibility you share the link and then they automatically check in a database, find the news story, and then get the summary. And last part is also suggest topics for news coverage. So it's something that's really important because the way that our journalists have more how to communicate with the audience and also find what's relevant for our audience. So our idea here is really empowering these communities that live in this region. So we have indigenous communities, quilombolas that are from the roots of Black people, and also the riverine communities, people who live in the rivers. We also know that local journalists and NGOs have a really strong interest in WhatsApp, in this WhatsApp bot, because one thing is like, when you see the indigenous groups, the only way that they communicate among themselves is using WhatsApp. So that's the reason we saw the value for that. And what really spread across all the population in this area, not only Brazil, but also Colombia, all the neighboring area as well. So people that are interested in know what's happening in the city, so they can receive from different sources and then be more informed about that. So how we did that, and that's the part that's fun. So we have a prototype that we create a couple of years ago, I think like 2-3 years ago, which was just like a basically WhatsApp bot using WhatsApp API interface, and then we could select, and then we basically use all the tags and the categories that we had in our WordPress and compiling 3-4 main categories and put all the teams below these categories. So the user didn't have much option on how to choose the topic, and then the frequency. So what we did after, we saw these large language models and the possibility that we could bring that to implement in this WhatsApp bot. So before we do that, we did 5 focus groups where we applied this value-sensitive design approach, hearing these communities and people from different communities. So Hebrew, indigenous people, I think we didn't have a quilombola, but we have people who live in Amazon. We have journalists. We have people from NGOs. What they are expecting from this WhatsApp bot, and from that we could then like start mapping the features that would be relevant across the different groups. Of course, this is not a massive study with a huge audience, but this gives hints on what people are expecting. And we implement this, develop this WhatsApp, implement these features that we were expecting. We test again. We test with a smaller audience, which is mainly journalists and some people from that live in the area. And then now we are evaluating and see how this goes. So here we have a bit of all the technologies that we have been used behind. So as I explained, the JEO is the plugin that we have for WordPress, and that's how we can get at least from information the geolocation. We also use, as you can see here, we use Azure and GPT because as information is a non-profit, so we have access to non-profit benefits, so which help us to also reduce the cost. Today, the biggest cost that we have is with WhatsApp API, which is really expensive, and we are figuring out how we can manage to sustain this because otherwise it's going to be really hard. Then we do the summary with using the search retrieval automated so RAG, and then we have this finished machine that we extracted the news articles, and then we create the teams, and then we have used all these to make that. So I'm going to present the video that we create to promote Boto, and you have English subtitles here. Launch. We're doing like a soft launch, but next month do the official launch. So here you have, if this GIF works, yeah, sometimes works, sometimes not. So how that's like a previous version, but basically the same features. So you have the options there, and then you can select one of them, and you put in the number, and then, or you put a headline of the news story, and then you get, which is this one, and then, oh, sorry, I can skip this one. So here, for example, if I press the number 2, I'm gonna see, like I wanna explain what is PRODIS, which is a very specific term for the deforestation data, and then they explain what is PRODIS, and then you have the story. So that's Voto. So we're gonna launch next month. Thank you so much, and we are happy to collaborate and trying to bring Voto to other places, and maybe see how we can make some revenue stream from that helps to pay this WhatsApp API, because from Meta we're not gonna get it. Thank you so much.
Hi, it's great to see such a concrete example. I'm wondering, I love that you're thinking about like how other people could learn lessons, but and it seems like the key part here was the collaborative design of like going in and that process. So as much as the technology might be transferable, that design process led to it. So I'm wondering, how do you think about that process in other communities and trying to replicate that, because that seems like the key part of any traction you get.
No, definitely. That's a good, excellent question, because I think not necessarily everything that works for Voto will work with another community. So the process that we have done, like going to speak with the community, is visiting, having members of different groups to like try to convey what is best for them, I think is essential to develop any technology. And that's what we're trying to show with Voto, not only receiving like all the news stories that are being published from any news outlet. They feel overwhelmed. That was the first thing. But that's specific, right? Maybe other community want to receive as much information. They love to see, like the WhatsApp updating very often. But I think that's when you ask that, that's really part. So really trying to replicate by hearing the audience. We have questions that really touch on what are the strong features or values that they see in the technology. And one thing that's part of then my research side, because I'm also a researcher. We spoke to them also how they see this, technology, how they see having an AI chatbot, AI-driven chatbot, delivering news for them. Do they rely on that? They said, yes, if I have all this, I subscribe to receive once a week, these things, and if I receive something completely different, I'm not going to rely anymore in this tool. For example, that's one of the people that participate mentioned there. So it's something that we also believe that any tool that Information is trying to develop from now on is trying to hear more the audience, because we have been successful in making people use that, because it was sometimes very, very niche or very specific research journalists that are used in little communities. And that's what I think was super easy, which maybe we don't do that but for them.
This is an interesting example. I'm curious, given that different news sources can often share the same story but have a different take on it, how the summaries might balance views to mitigate bias in what the communities are receiving via the WhatsApp messages.
That's a really good question, because we are even some of our ideas have other having in the WhatsApp bot, and these two that we have right now, sometimes they publish stories that are the same because they were we have this source, and these are different fields. So which one I'm going to rely? Of course, for being part of the bottle, we are really reliant on only organizations that we their content. Partisan news outlets or things like that. So we know that sometimes you have really small news outlets, correct or wrong, but it's like giving their size, their their capacity. So maybe they don't with the sources. They they only listen on one side. But I think it is important because they are in local, so they are there. So they from the Amazon, but most of the people are in São Paulo, which is like I don't know, maybe almost in Europe. So which I think is really important to have this balance. Thank you.
Super cool to see this coming together. We work with an organization in Detroit that sends and shares information through SMS messaging directly, and the questions and curiosities that come back through that conversation have been really helpful for them for type documentation and just thinking about what people need to know about. And I'm curious, as you're starting to get some of this information back, how you're thinking about information about people who are on the other side of Bonto.
Yes, that's a good thing. For example, when we have this feature that people can also suggest what news stories we should cover. Right now we have all these different things, and we are using large language model to try to classify this, and then see like the top 5 most mentioned teams. But still, when you look at the teams, not necessarily means what people are writing. We're still struggling to find the best way to convey this information because it's not structured, right? You have open, like basically you send a message and then you can write whatever. I feel that this outlet is not covering my city, and then we're gonna get it, and then suddenly it's classified. This city is not being covered, and not necessarily is that. It's more about like a specific news outlet, so it's more a critique than really what is covered. So it's something that we're working, and I think the idea is now that we have like a stable version because we test a lot. So we have been testing since like February, March. So we're trying to launch every month, and we also want to launch involving non-profit and NGO organizations. We don't want to launch and then we want this be reach, and that's the reason we make a video as well, because I think we can reach more people. But yeah, I'm happy to chat more. I'm not going to stay much longer because my flight was canceled and I have to fly earlier today. But I'm going to be here around for a while. Thank you so much.